Welcome to Anything New. My name is Opie, and as always, I'm here with Pete.
Hello, friends.
And Matt.
What's up?
Anything New is a podcast where we talk about anything we've been using, cruising, or consuming this week. Hey, guys, how's it going?
So far, so good.
Going great. The Masters just wrapped up. I'm going to give a shout out to our first Japanese winner.
Oh, wow. I didn't see who won.
Yeah. I won't butcher his name, but he did a great job, and he kicked everybody else's butt and won by like 3 or 4 strokes. So props to him.
Okay.
That's great. That's great. So on today's episode, we've got a couple of things. It's a rather short list this week. I know it's spring break for a lot of people, so there's probably not been a lot going on new that anyone has done. So just going down the list, I've got some big news that I'm going to announce today and see what you guys think about it. And we're going to go over the community movie watching that Pete brought us last week, which was The Silencing. Elon Musk, Neuralink. And Matt's got some pickups. And if we want to get right into it, guys, I'll start off since I am hosting the show and I'm at the tops because I put myself at the top. So
you're drunk with power.
Drum roll, please. Opie's got a new job.
What?
Yes. I'm starting a new job this week.
Oh, well, okay. So, first of all, we didn't approve this.
Yeah, you didn't. Everybody knows that when you get a new job or when you're thinking about getting a new job, you have to discuss it with the spouse, the family, make sure that it's financially viable, and then talk about it with your best friends to make sure that they're okay with it.
Damn, I thought this was going to be an easy show. I was just going to drink a beer.
The bourbon. Now I gotta pay attention to you guys now.
So I've been kind of working on this for almost kind of a month now. I just hadn't let you guys know, but I'm no longer the IT director at a hospital. I'm moving on to work on a help desk team at this company called Deco Art. And basically what kind of brought this about is I was kind of, for a while, kind of been looking for something, hopefully kind of closer to home and not in healthcare. But I had been looking around and kind of stumbled upon this job. Now, it's not as close to home. It's in Stanford, James. So it's just right up the road. And they had an opening and I started talking to these guys and, it's a lot less responsibility. It's not in healthcare. So I'm going to be working with a group of people at a help desk at a small company. And, as I done my research, I put the link in the description, James, if you want to put that up there, people can see it. It's decoart.com. They make crafting paint. Basically, I didn't know this place existed until I started talking about it, but it's a privately owned company. The owner has ties way back to the original Tonka toy company. So they are actually, since COVID kind of hit this last year, they have just exploded as far as like orders go, and they're expanding and they're hiring and they're
because like everybody's doing crafts and being stuck at home. Is that right?
Yeah, they do everything. Mostly they focus more on the crafting, home decor type of paint, not really wall paint and industrial type of paint, but more the farthest they go into that is kind of refinishing furniture kind of paint. So it's really been a booming industry for them. I've been talking to them for like 3 or 4 weeks now, going through the interview process, just going up there, touring the facility, things like that. And so they are expanding their IT department and they're steadily growing. And like I said, again, it is a privately owned company. So there is some benefits to being kind of on the ground level because I see them only kind of going up. It's just everything I saw was positive and it seemed like a good fit. And I was kind of, had been looking for kind of a change and everything kind of worked out. So yeah, I'm going to be starting a new adventure next week. And hopefully next week on the podcast, I can follow up with my first couple of days at work and let you guys know how that went.
Wow.
So when do you start?
Wednesday.
Okay. Did you say that? And I didn't hear. Yeah.
Yeah.
Well,
so
they're very lucky to have you. So I know that. And maybe we should tell Dan that now he could move down to Monticello.
But yeah, so everything was good. I had some leave. I took a little time off, and that's kind of, I guess, why I've been kind of short on pickups. I hadn't been driving back and forth and stopping at Goodwills along the way. So I have been.
I hope this doesn't affect your ability to get me dollar comics at that
No, I can always do that because there was a booth up here. But this place, James, when you go up 27 right there at that light and you turn left to go to Danville and you keep going straight to go to Lexington, the plant sits right there on the corner on the hill from that light. And across the street, just adjacent to it, is a Goodwill right across the street.
Oh, nice. I know right where you're talking. Yep. So what's that? Probably like 25 minutes.
Yeah. Since I'm on the north end of town, it's basically just hop on 27 and go up there.
This is the Kentucky geography section of the podcast.
Well,
I know, Diane. I was just teasing with him.
But anyway, so yeah,
how big is the company? How many employees?
It's about the same size as the hospital. They have they have about 200. They said they have a little over 200 users. And I don't know how many exactly employees, but they've got 3 different facilities. They've got the plant, the production plant there in Stanford, and then a mile down the road they have their shipping and receiving warehouse, and then in Lexington, which is another 30 minutes up the road, they have their marketing and that's where their CEO and everybody has their offices up there. But yeah, so it's a little small booming company, but I just I was kind of feeling the wear and tear of being on call for 4 years straight, and this is basically your 40-hour week. I'm not on salary anymore.
Not on call.
Not on call.
None of that stuff.
And they're going to give me a lot of room to learn some stuff. There's a lot of Linux and a lot of things that they do there that I didn't do or didn't have access to here. So,
dude, I was going to teach you SQL though.
Well, you may be able still to teach me SQL.
Did you tell them Sunday nights at 8:30 or kind of blocked off?
Well, that's a good thing because I'll never be on call on Sunday nights at 8:30, guys. With this new job. This
actually opens us up to a whole new group of potential listeners. So you can go in there on the first day and be like, "Hey, my name's Obi. I have a podcast on Sunday nights."
I want that to be the first thing you tell people that you work with. Is my name's Opie. I have a podcast Sunday nights at 8:30.
No, Lou, my office it's not going to be in Lexington with the execs. So yeah, I just wanted to kind of take a break and relinquish some of that responsibility off, and once you look around the job market a little bit, I kind of felt like I was a little bit underappreciated there at the hospital for the kind of rate of pay, but I'm not going to hash that out on the podcast. So,
well, does your significant other know, or is this a surprise?
Oh no, yeah.
If you're watching, Miss Lawson,
podcast listeners are the first to hear, and then he's got to tell his wife later.
So yeah, so that's. And Matt, just between me and you, I don't know if there's going to be more of those special pics during the day that I used to send from my other office.
Whoa! I wasn't getting any special pics.
No, it's
not what you're thinking. It's not bad.
I lost that bet because I was upstairs just a little bit ago and I was telling Diane, I was like, yeah, Opie's got some big news I saw on the show notes. I wonder what it is. And she was like, oh, yeah, that's exciting. And I kind of made my prediction, but I guess I was wrong.
Anyway, that's it for me. I've hogged up enough of the show. Let's move on to you.
That's awesome, man.
I mean, that's cool. Like, I was wondering about the employee numbers, because when I moved to Atlanta, I went from a corporation that employed thousands of people to a firm that I was the 8th person. There were 7 people in the office, and I was number 8. And I thought if you said this was a little bit smaller, I actually really liked working in a really small office.
Well, yeah. Not only what the thing about it is this is about the same size company, but they have an IT director, a system administrator, and they have a help desk. And then I'm the second member of help desk now. So me and him are going to be working as, kind of the tier 1 stuff. They have a sysadmin that's going to handle a lot of any kind of, system administration, network administration, and their IT director, where at the hospital, I was all of that. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
For not this, around the same compensation as what, so
I did see when I clicked on the deco art that I saw some candles on there.
Oh,
so Might have to talk to you a little bit later about that. Maybe we
Well,
get
we'll
it on
see.
the ground floor.
And
about
it's and
something.
it's such a different atmosphere, and it's kind of crazy because this is something that they bring up in an interview a lot because they want to make sure that you're used to a production environment because you have to do IT in a factory setting. Like it's not like you just get to work in air conditioned office spaces and crawl under this. Or
Yeah.
sometimes you have to step out of the way of forklifts driving by and walk around, paint chemicals and stuff mixing, and you're going to maybe get dirty at work or whatever, which is fine with me because the dress code's pretty relaxed. So
Nice.
that's cool. That's cool.
They probably
too.
all ride around on those little electric scooters and drink lattes and
Yeah.
work on their screenplay.
Yeah, you have
But-
your sleeping pod, and
But it would kind of brought back a lot of memories because growing up, my dad, we grew up in a small town, so the small towns usually have a couple of factories that employ a lot of the people there, and that's where he worked pretty much all my life until he retired. And during the summertime, like when you're in high school, they would hire temp kids on just temporarily to work during the summer, and I worked there a couple of summers, and it was a different experience. It kind of makes you realize why you go to college or why you get an education, so you don't have to work in those type of environments. Nothing against working in factory environments, but I had something to relate to when I went up and talked to them about it because they want to make sure that they hire somebody that's okay with being around that sort of thing. But yep, there we go.
Well, congratulations, man. That's awesome.
Thank you.
Usually, we're all super duper close. Usually we tell each other when, man, I'm job hunting. I've got a beat on a new job, man. This was out of left field. I saw in the show notes, Opie's big news. I was like, oh man, what's he,
Yeah. Well, it's okay.
I was like, oh man, he's leaving the podcast or something.
Yeah,
But,
I try not to be a rumor monger, even though you guys are close and stuff. I just didn't want to, it's just something kind of happened, and I just kind of just let it go because I don't want to say anything till actually, like, I didn't even get I've been talking to him for 3 or 4 weeks, and I didn't even actually get the final word until last week. So I just wanted to make sure 100%.
I know I'm pretty big on social media, but I wouldn't have said anything.
Right. That's fine. It's no big deal. Moving on.
Right.
James, The Silencing. We all watched it on Amazon, and we're going to talk about it.
We did. We all watched it. Everybody who's listening, I'm sure, watched it. So we just watched it today. All right, let me run down exactly what this movie was. This was on Amazon, right? And it's about this guy named Rayburn. He's it's Jaime Lannister from Game of Thrones, if you know who that guy is. And he's not been in a ton of movies, like especially as a leading man, right? Maybe a couple,
I was thinking the same thing. I was going to mention it. Like when Game of Thrones was over, I was like, okay, we're going to start seeing this guy in everything.
Yeah,
and he hasn't been in a lot.
He was in a movie on Netflix where he has this handlebar mustache or something. And I can't
Shot Caller?
Shot Caller.
Dude,
that's right.
That movie's great. I watched it a long time ago.
Yeah.
Oh, it's good.
I didn't know if that was good or not, but that's the only one. That's the only movie I can think of him being in.
Yeah.
So anyway, The Silencing. This guy is he's like a hunter who kind of like lives out in the woods by himself, and you kind of like, okay, this guy's a little strange. He lives like on a sanctuary, like a land preserve, right? And at first you don't really understand exactly what's going on, and it doesn't take long to figure out that basically what happened is his daughter had been like abducted and was missing for years. It was years, right? Even though they don't really.
It was 5 years.
Yeah, so 5 years, his daughter's missing. He's not giving up hope. What appears to be his ex-wife, they don't really delve too deep into their relationship, other than they're not together anymore. She's kind of like ready to, kind of move on, have a death certificate filled out, and so they can, have a burial for her, even though there's no remains. But he's not giving up. He still thinks that she's out there and she might be alive. But pretty much what happened is there's a guy, a madman, who's going around and killing these girls and kind of leaving like his like little calling card, like where he cuts their vocal cords out so they can't talk, right? So that's kind of creepy. But that's the gist of it. I mean, what did you I thought it was pretty good. It was a little on the slow side. The twist with the cop when she turned around, so the other main character on the movie is the sheriff. It's this lady who she has a younger brother who is always getting into trouble, right? So they kind of paint him as the potential bad guy in this. And then there's a scene, probably a third of the way through the movie, maybe halfway, where she makes a decision to try and protect him, her brother, and kind of turns rogue and goes bad. And like that, like totally surprised me. Did that surprise you guys when that happened?
Mm-hmm.
Like I kind of thought she was like, going to be like, your typical good cop. But no, it was
It was a twist.
She turned around and just shot Jamie Lannister right in the. And this dude, he's been shot with an arrow. He's been shot with a bullet.
He went through a lot in this. He's got his ass whipped a couple times.
Yep.
Yeah, I liked it. So it's funny because as we're watching these things for this podcast, I'm always trying to like pay extra attention and think about, okay, I need to start writing stuff down. But I'm like, oh yeah, that thing happened. I really want to bring this up and bring that up. That part that you're mentioning when the sheriff thought that the killer was her brother, so she turned around and shoots Rayburn.
Yep.
From there I thought, this is kind of interesting and different because the whole movie isn't going to be about who's the killer. Half the movie is about who's the killer, and then the other half is okay, we know who he is. What's the sheriff going to do about it? Because the sheriff isn't really bad, but she also wants to protect her brother. So, but then it turned out not to be that. But I thought that would have been interesting as well.
Yeah.
The funny thing is when we find out who. So here's my bit about the end that I was going to bring up. At the end, when we find out who the killer is, I didn't realize that he was the doctor that we had seen.
Right.
I thought, okay, well, it's a random guy. I just didn't remember. I just didn't place the face. You know what I mean? And I was like, okay, so it's just a guy that we'd never seen, that we haven't seen yet. Which is sort of weird because normally in these movies, the big reveal is like, oh no, it was the guy that we saw in the first scene all along or whatever. So I was going to ask you guys, what do you think about, does that make it better or worse for you that the killer is somebody that we haven't seen? Because then, if you think about it in real life, when there's a murder case and they find the killer, it's not somebody that's like part of the investigation or it's just like a guy. It's just a regular person. And I had to go back and I was like, how did the sheriff know to go after the doctor? Because she was in there looking for she was in Dr. Boone's office looking for stuff. I was like, what tipped her off that it was him? And then I realized, oh, wait a minute. She wasn't there going after him. She was just there asking him some questions. And then she put two and two together. And then it all started to click. Yep. I was like, oh my gosh, it was the doctor that saved his life and did the autopsies. And
she saw the initials, which I don't know if you're going to make an arrow and like kill people. Why would you put some sort of calling card?
Right,
it would tie it back to you. That's like,
I guess it's ridiculous. Not, it's not his initials, but that was a bit of a stretch. Like, why would you put anything identifiable?
And I mean, what about the weapon? Like, that's like the first time I've ever even heard of that thing. Like,
I don't know.
Apparently, it's some sort of Native American weapon where you like throw an arrow. Like, this doesn't even have some sort of like like a string. It's just like you just hold this thing.
It's like a staff. You hold it on your shoulder and sling it.
Yeah.
I mean, I thought that the reason for using that weapon in the movie was just to make it unique, because the trailers, I'm like, okay, this guy's shooting bow and arrows, he's going Legolas out there. But if it had been just like a bow and arrow, then it could have been how else, because they were able to track the guy down by starting with the atlatl, right? By starting with that unique weapon. Who makes them? Who has one? If it had just been a bow and arrow, well, hell, she talked to a guy that owns a bow and arrow shop. It could have been anybody that ever shopped there. So I thought they just used that weapon as a way to quickly narrow it down.
Yeah, I kind of figured it was, they got to, when Rayburn got to his house, the doctor's house, kind of saw all the big game, like all these like big taxidermied animals, right? So he was kind of in more for the hunt. He would take these people out there, cut out their vocal cords so they were kind of helpless. They couldn't scream. and he would just tell them to run, and then he would basically just hunt them, just like he was the big, all the animals, big game that he had in his house. So he was kind of like just sport for him. Like he said, it's just he chose those people because he thought those were people who
wouldn't be missed.
Be missed. Yep.
Yeah.
Yep. So, yeah, but I thought it was pretty good. It was a little slow in some spots, but it's those gritty, dark movies that I love, and they did a good job keeping you guessing and not really giving anything too much away.
I thought it was just me. I thought that they had a lot of good qualities to make a good movie, but I think that in my taste, they spent too much time trying to throw you off the trail and tried to put too many spins in it, and they could have focused their attention more on his what was his name, Dawson, or the Jamie Lannister's character, Rayburn. They could have spent a little bit more time on his backstory, kind of how he got to the sanctuary, and he used to be a big time hunter, and that's what the kid said. And now, why doesn't he hunt anymore? And all that sort of thing, kind of, and how the sanctuary came about, and then the fact that the killer just randomly hunts on a sanctuary, hunts people. Like, I would have liked to seen some backstory of maybe some scenes of earlier, just him not showing his face or revealing who he is, but performing the surgery and then sending these girls out on their own, and then him hunting them to kind of build up the suspense of.
Oh yeah,
he just shows up on the trail cam, he's just showing up on the trail cam. And who takes down a trail cam and doesn't expect somebody to look after them? And then who borrows your neighbor's truck and parks it in the woods? Dude,
well, I mean, if you were gonna murder somebody, wouldn't you not take your own car? I mean,
true. That's true.
Not that I thought about it.
I just thought that it could have been smarter. And that whole abandoned factory where those the home, I don't know, it's like a shanty town. I guess those people live down there.
Yeah.
And I guess they kind of considered it like a low income, like an Indian reservation or whatever, Black Oak, what do they call it? Oak Hill, Black Ridge, Sawmill area or something like that. I kind of thought that was going to be they kept talking that up like it was going to be some kind of a overlord type of society where that one guy that apparently everybody was looking for was just kidnapped the whole time. They kind of built him up to be the boss of the whole place, and he was like, I've been kidnapped or whatever. And I just thought that it had a lot of good suspense qualities, and then the sheriff, she was super tough, but she did a 180, and then they all, that was a good little twist, because that was a jaw dropper. I went, oh snap, when that happened. Yeah, when that part happened, and then it kind of felt weird. I wish she would just maybe stayed down that path, but I could tell she thought she had done wrong, in the movie. But it had good qualities. It was slow at times, and then I couldn't never tell where he was at. When he found the first girl and they hid in his trap, it just felt like he was he was going to run everywhere, and he grabs when he sees the trail cam the second time, he's just going to run back out into the woods and just grabbed all his gear. And how long did it take his shoulder arrow to heal? I mean, that thing.
Oh yeah.
It was
he was throwing punches a few hours after getting an arrow removed from his shoulder.
Jamie Lannister had his hand chopped off, so one arrow to the shoulder isn't going to slow him down.
There was some cringy moments. It was slow. It was a decent movie, but it was it had potential, but it just didn't go the way that I was hoping it would go, even though I was expecting her to arrest him or shoot him at the end after he pushed the bad guy or the main guy off into that trap. Because she's telling him no, but I guess they didn't. So,
I mean, what's the chances that the bad guy, the doctor, had the same knuckle cracking problem as her brother did?
Dude, so that's what I was going to mention. That was the one. That was the one thing that after all was said and done and everything was revealed, that was the big head scratcher. Because the sheriff thought the killer was her brother, because her brother has this bad habit, and he does it like this. He holds up one hand and crack, crack, crack. I just cracked one. Crack, 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 crack. With one hand, and it drives the sheriff crazy. She hates when he does that. So that's his That's a habit. And they even talk about your brother's got a lot of bad habits, and and then when the killer is in the house, is in Rayburn's house, and Rayburn and the sheriff are there confronting the killer with full mask. You don't know who he is. The killer goes crack, 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 crack. And why would he do? I guess he did it to throw her off.
I don't know. Maybe
because didn't at some point, didn't the doctor, wasn't he the one that said, yeah, your brother's got a lot of bad habits? Like he said that at the beginning. So he knew. Maybe I think that's what it was. He knew that her brother did that. And he knew that if he did that, she would think he was the brother. Ergo, she would save him. She would help him. I guess that's how I'm gonna, that's in my own headspace is how it's gonna work.
We'll go with that.
Yeah. The only I actually liked it pretty well. I didn't really think it was slow. I thought it was paced pretty well, actually. I would have liked to have seen some more backstory about Rayburn, about the doctor and why he does this. I know they talked about it a little bit, but I would like to have seen, because like you said, he just popped up. He just shows up. He's just like throwing spears at people. But I think the one missed opportunity that I was expecting to see, was a little bit bummed when it didn't happen, was Rayburn at one point, like you said, he told kids about, they asked him why he works on a sanctuary. He said, well, I used to hunt animals. I used to use a lot of inhumane traps.
Yeah.
My daughter didn't like it, so I quit. I thought he was going to, when it, like the big climax, before we saw him get captured by the killer, I thought that maybe he was gonna take the law into his own hands, and he was gonna become, he was gonna hunt the hunter, and he was gonna sort of like draw on his past experiences, and he was gonna set up traps, and he used the big pit in the ground with the spikes. He did use that, but I thought he was gonna pull the red headband and like set up spears, and
I went Mortal Kombat on that one.
Let's talk about the paint can scene.
Oh my gosh, that was lame.
I thought that was lame.
So if everybody listening hasn't seen it, so the main hunter guy we're talking about, he wears, is it a ghillie suit? Is that how you say it?
Ghillie suit.
Yeah, ghillie suit. It's one of those military snipers wear with all the moss or whatever, and that's all he wears through the whole movie, and like literally just hunkers down in the corner of a living room and he's hidden, or whatever, in that one scene.
He's basically like Sam Fisher in Splinter Cell. All you have to do is be in the dark and you're fine.
Yeah. So there's one scene where they're out in the middle of the woods, and this is where Jamie Lannister, I keep calling him Rayburn or whatever, goes after him, and he's got a shotgun, and he takes a can of paint, like a gallon can of paint, like you'd paint your house with, and he's hiding behind a tree because the guy's chucking arrows at him, and all of a sudden he just comes out from behind a tree and he throws the paint can up in the air, and he shoots it with a shotgun, and it explodes paint all over the guy's ghillie suit. Apparently he was that close to him.
I was thinking that too. I was like, wait, wouldn't he have had to have been really close? Because like didn't that happen in the new Invisible Man movie? Like Elizabeth Moss, like, didn't she like throw paint, and that's how you fight invisible men, right? You cover them with something. But for him to skeet shoot, bam, a gallon of paint, and it happened to spread far enough to where it would get on the ghillie suit. But you know what? He never like used that though.
No,
like it covered it in red paint, right? Because the ghillie suit was like sort of black.
Yeah,
it blended in. But when it got covered with red paint, I was like, okay, now we're going to see him be able to see like red paint moving through. But it never showed him again. Like he got covered with red paint, and then it was over. I mean,
right. All right. Well, it was a good pick. Listen, I'm going to pick the next one, and this is going to stay kind of in the same vein as what we watched. I guess we kind of like these gritty thriller type of movies. Yeah. So when I picked Boss Level a few weeks back, I was kind of debating between this one and Boss Level, and I still want to see this movie. It's called Wander, Wander, with Tommy Lee Jones, Aaron Eckhart, Catherine Winnick, and Heather Graham. And it's after getting hired to probe a suspicious death in a small town of Wander. A mentally unstable private investigator becomes convinced that the case is linked to the same conspiracy cover-up that caused the death of his daughter. So we got more daughter-daddy problems.
Ooh, nice.
And so if James can pull the trailer up,
I got it. I just pulled
we'll
it up.
watch it.
All right, let's watch this thing.
Okay.
It should be good. I just, you know how like when you play a trailer and it has that like that sound at the beginning, like it has the in a world. It has that, so I know it's going to be good. Let's see here. Here we go.
I'm not hearing any sound.
Yeah, I don't hear it.
Hold on. Stand by.
Gosh, I sure do wish we had a director of IT in here to help, but we don't have one anymore.
Nope, we don't. You can call the help desk though. Oh.
I think I've looked at this one. This is on.
I guess I need to click that little button that says share audio.
There you go. All right, let's try this.
Greedy.
My bad. Here we go.
There you
There's
go.
that sound I was talking about.
You killed my daughter and destroyed my family. I don't know who you are, but I'm coming for you.
You're a good man, Arthur. A silent warrior.
I am powerful. I am protected.
I've always had a gut feeling that there was some link between here and what happened to your family.
You're going to find them, Arthur. I know you will.
They know I'm here.
No one's recording you right now.
You sure?
Roller girl.
The people all this. They're bringing people here. They're changing their names.
So lucky to be here.
There's an entire underground bunker. The people here in Wonder, they're all trapped.
Yeah.
WandaVision.
You.
They killed my daughter.
We're pinning down the truth.
I never wanted blood on my hands.
He's going to end up hurting himself or someone else.
It's a war, Jimmy. Between the dark and the light. And I'm the light, Jimmy.
All right.
Dang.
Heck yeah. Now, what platform is that on, Obi?
It's on all the platforms, but it is you have to rent it. It's
Ooh.
going to be so, or go to your local Blockbuster.
Yeah. Okay. I thought I saw it on Hulu because I've looked at this one.
Check. Well, I think you and I talked about it back when I was like when I think that Boss Level wasn't released. Remember that week, and we went without.
Yeah.
And then like I think, well, I had a backup, and this was my backup, and we may have watched it then.
Yeah, I've looked at this on something because maybe it's on Hulu. We'll find out. We'll tweet about it. I mean, everybody, you guys can search for it too. But I thought that I saw it. Could have sworn I saw it somewhere because I've watched the trailer thinking, I might want to watch that. But yeah, you know what? Why is Aaron Eckhart not in more things? Like, I think he's fantastic.
He is pretty good.
He is good, man. Poor old Tommy Lee Jones looking a little frail and thin. He's such a good actor too, man. I love Tommy Lee Jones. No Country for Old Men is in my top 5.
And he's barely in it. He's in it, but he's not in it.
I just love like the way he talks, the way he delivers lines. It's like you could just sit and listen to him. He's just so good. He's just such a good actor.
I didn't kill my wife.
I don't care.
The Fugitive. Yeah, he's excellent in The Fugitive.
Yeah, I'm just trying to look real quick to see if it's available on any. Well, shoot.
I looked it up, and it was Google says YouTube $2.99, Google Play $2.99, Amazon Prime $2.99, Apple TV $6.
What? Maybe that's to buy.
$5.99. Yeah, maybe.
Man, Opie's got that new job money. He's just throwing it
Yep.
around there, you know.
Yeah. Well,
J-Dub says Veronica Mars.
I already watched it all, brother. That was a good treadmill. That was my first like full-on treadmill show. That was a good treadmill show.
all right. So next on our list is we're gonna get stupid smart
Yeah.
with Elon
One of
Musk
those at least.
and Neuralink.
Oh,
James, what's going on with the mad scientist?
well, this is one of those things I didn't really know if I should bring up. You know, Matt likes to poo-poo on anything new and
gosh,
innovative.
whatever.
You know, if we talk about stuff that
NFTs are stupid, okay? And I'm just kidding. That's a joke. I'm not trying to.
So everybody knows who Elon Musk is.
I've heard of
and
it.
he likes to buy these companies that are kind of, you know, doing things like a lot of people think that he started Tesla, but he didn't start Tesla. He kind of came in after. There's these two guys that started Tesla. He kind of came in and took over. So he likes to buy these companies that show promise on things like super high technical stuff that's just like, it would blow your mind. Like, you know, if you would have said, you know, 15 years ago, there's going to be a private company that's going to launch rockets into space and then like bring them back down and land them, you know, on the same pad or land them on a ship out in the ocean. You think
sometimes.
Yeah,
or
sometimes.
sometimes they explode. Yeah.
But anyway, so one of the things that he's into is this company called Neuralink. He bought this company and they do computer processing with the human brain and use it into like different ways, you know. So basically the way that they had set it up in the beginning was they wanted to be able to put a microprocessor in somebody who's doesn't have a limb, right? Like if you have an arm that's missing, they can put in this Neuralink and it uses like the synapses of your brain and like you can like think it like, you know, that you're going to control your arm, you know, and I don't really understand how this works. I don't think we're supposed to really understand it. That's why we're not mad scientists. But then you could like pick it up, you know what I mean? And like, so it's crazy stuff like that. So they had posted this thing where they had this like big breakthrough achievement this past week. And I thought it was just amazing. So I kind of wanted to show it off because it is pretty awesome. So let me share this. And well, here's the gist of it here. This is he has a monkey and it's hooked up to this. It has a Neuralink set inside of it, right? And what they're going to do is the monkey is going to play Pong with his mind. So it sounds crazy, you know, like that's, you know, how's he going to do that, right? So let's watch this little video here and I'll kind of skip through it, but it's pretty awesome. I think that I was blown away by it. I think that you guys probably will be too. Let's see. Tell me if you can hear audio on this.
This is Pager.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
He's a 9-year-old macaque who had a Neuralink placed in each side of his brain about 6 weeks ago. If you look carefully, you can see that the fur on his head hasn't quite fully grown back yet. He's learned to interact with a computer for a tasty banana smoothie delivered through a straw.
Ooh.
We can interact with the Neuralinks simply by pairing them to an iPhone, just as you might pair your phone to a Bluetooth speaker. The links record from more than 2,000 electrodes implanted in the regions of Pager's motor cortex that coordinate hand and arm movements.
Okay, so he has control of this little joystick, right?
Mm-hmm.
He's moving that little dot over top of the square, and when he does that, he gets a taste of the smoothie through that metal straw, right? So he is like associating, you know, completing that objective, that task, and then getting a reward for it.
Neurons in this region modulate their activity with intended hand movement. For example, some might become more active when he moves his hand up, and others when he moves it to the right. By recording from many neurons and feeding their activity into a decoder algorithm,
I'll skip some of the
we are able,
technical stuff here.
We can use the output.
So now look what's happened. See the joystick? They've unplugged the joystick. So now
What?
Now he sees the same dot and he sees the same square, and he knows he has to get that dot over to the square, and he's using the joystick. Well, he thinks he is, but his mind tells his arm like which direction to move it, right? With his hand, his brain is still doing all the processing, but his hand isn't actually doing anything.
And the chips in his brain via Bluetooth are controlling what's on the screen.
Pager still moves the joystick out of habit, but as you can see, it's unplugged. He's controlling the cursor entirely with decoded neural activity.
Whoa! Wow!
Well, it gets better.
Our goal is to enable a person with paralysis to use a computer or phone with their brain.
That would be amazing.
Because they wouldn't be able to move a joystick, they would calibrate the decoder by imagining hand movements to targets.
So like Stephen Hawking, right? Like when he had like for him to communicate, he would have to move that thing like with his eyeballs. Like he would
eyeballs, yeah.
It would be like a big keyboard on a screen, and he would look, and it had like a little cursor that was like tracking his eye movements. That's how he would talk. Well, this will like speed that up like times. Probably like probably just be like regular communication, because
well, you could. I mean, the possibilities are endless. Like you could link that up with text to speech or whatever, and he could just think a sentence, and the computer spits it out.
One of the things the Neuralinks allow Pager to do is to play his favorite video game, Pong. To control his paddle on the right side of the screen, Pager simply thinks about moving his hand up or down. We've removed the joystick altogether. Now that he's up to speed, let's increase the difficulty and see how well Pager can play with the Neuralink.
No joystick, just his mind.
As you can see, Pager is amazingly good at mind Pong. He's focused, and he's playing entirely of his own volition. It's not magic. The reason Neuralink works is because it's recording and decoding electrical signals from the brain.
That's
great game, Pager.
How do they know where to connect the chip in your brain?
I mean, who knows? I mean,
just real quick, forget about MindLink for a second. Can we just like talk about how awesome it is that a chimp learned how to play Pong?
Yeah,
I mean, forget about all the fancy mind bullets and stuff.
All this talk about work. If they'd hooked a feed tube up to my desk, and every time I did something good or closed the ticket out, and I got a shot of chocolate pudding in my mouth or banana pudding. I love me some banana pudding. I'd
be so much more motivated at work. Like every time I completed a project, here's a giant tub of ice cream.
Oh, there you go. Yes, there's gonna be King of Con Dr. Fake has scores, of course. Oh, and they are monkeys. That's funny.
I just think, did these guys not see Planet of the Apes?
The Pandora's box is open.
So this is basically Planet of the Apes meshed with the Terminator, because the apes are going to take over Skylink Skynet, and then it's they're going to wage war against us.
I mean, we always knew that the machines were going to take over one day, and that the monkeys were going to take over one day, but not. I don't want it to be at the same time. You got to give us some breathing room in between. Apocalypse diseases.
Apocalypse size.
I thought it was interesting. I'm sorry if I bored you guys.
No, that was
awesome.
In fact, Pete, I saw that on Twitter, and I didn't watch the video. I didn't read or watch the video, but I was like, oh, come on. Great. Now what? Now what are they trying to, but that's awesome. It's not really, this is going to sound like stupid, but it's not really that complicated. Obviously it's extremely complicated, but the concept is pretty simple. Right. It's just a chip that's reading, because your brain, when I lift my phone, my brain is telling my arm, lift my phone. So the chip would just read what my brain is telling my arm to do, and it would just do it for whatever. I mean, that's probably how Bucky's arm works in Falcon and the Winter Soldier. Exactly. When he put it back on. And
if I get one of these in my brain, will it make me better at first-person shooters? That's all I want to know. No, that's hard. That's hard.
I was actually playing Batman Arkham Asylum today on my PS5, and I was sitting there on the couch thinking, oh, this is so fun, but I have to hold the controller and click the buttons. I wish I could just do this with my freaking brain. Now we're gonna be able to. I'm just gonna be able to stare at the TV.
Now mind bullets will probably be a thing. You know? You'll just be able to have these
Freedom.
big guns up on your shoulders. Yeah,
freedom guns.
Yeah,
controlled by your mind bullets.
Thinking to
Listen.
shoot.
There was a total episode of this in Rick and Morty where the dog takes over. They put Rick puts the helmet on the dog. It's the same thing. It's a great episode.
I think the applications are super cool though for folks with missing limbs and things like that. Like they talked about, like that is amazing.
Yeah.
And it's everything. I mean, me as a comic book fan, like anytime somebody loses an arm, it's no big deal because they can just go to Tony Stark or they can just ask Batman or somebody, or there's people smarter than him. But I mean, oh, it's no big deal. I'll just go ask so and so for a shiny new metal arm or a leg, and they get one, and it makes them stronger. And now we're gonna get that. Like we're days away from having that. That's
speaking
awesome.
of metal arms, are we planning on doing a wrap up of Falcon and Winter Soldier? I know we've got a pretty lively Discord discussion going on about it, and I've been meaning to catch up on it.
Yeah, you should, Matt. On the last one, you should.
I mean, we can maybe talk about it as a whole. I think once it's over, I want to go back and watch the whole thing because it's more I think it's more movie-esque than WandaVision was, because it's all it's espionage and it's governments doing this and that and spies and that kind of stuff. And that kind of stuff for me is hard to keep up with week to week. But if you watch it all in one fell swoop, I think it's better. So I'm going to rewatch it all at once. But yeah, when it's over, we can for sure talk about it.
Okay.
No, I like that though, Pete. I mean, good job. I like that. I would be interested to see more. And I hope they keep going with that. See, that's something that's actually worthwhile to research.
All right. So enough about Planet of the Apes. Let's go on to not a lot of pickups. Matt, what'd you get this week?
Yeah, well, I showed you guys. Now this isn't this week's pickup, but I showed this the other week. These new 3 3/4 inch Marvel Legends guys that I really really like. The second wave, and they've announced a third one, and they're at Target. Well, I finally saw another one in my Target when I went on Friday. Oh, but it's the same one.
Yeah.
I've never seen any of these in my Target except this one, and I've seen them twice. So I had to grab a second one because I wanted to open the box art is so cool, but I wanted to open one of them, and they're fairly inexpensive. And then I got something that I haven't got in a while, which is some used games. I went to my
all right.
Games. Well, that's not like super retro.
Oh, wait a sec. Hold on. All right.
It's not super retro, but I guess I'm not as into collecting the super retro like the NES and SNES stuff. Like I like the more disc-based games. But it doesn't really matter what order I show. For $5 on the original Xbox, I picked up Spy Hunter.
Nice.
Because I think we were talking about that not too long ago, and I said, "Oh yeah, I used to love that. I used to love the Spy Hunter remake from 2000 and whatever."
I think. I would always talk about it on the NES because it was one of my games I owned, and it was a game that it was impossible to beat. You just ran until the score ran up, and then you ran out of lives, and then you died. So
wait, that's James Bond.
Oh, that's the same. It's the same music.
Is it? I
don't
think they would put the James Bond theme.
Well,
it's a Peter Gunn, isn't it? Isn't it Peter Gunn?
Sure.
I don't know. And then I got Spy Hunter 2.
Oh,
okay.
Also for $5 because they were both there, and I was like, hey, I used to love those. But then the reason I was really going was because we were having a discussion the other day about the PS3 and how Sony hates its consumers and customers and people that use its services, and they're going to shut down the storefront for the PS3, the PSP, and the PS
we should
Vita.
have talked about that on there.
Yeah, and because they don't want people to be able to buy games digitally for some reason, and and then that I was watching some stuff about that, and then that led me into the subject of the issue with the CMOS battery, which, if you're not familiar, there's a battery in your PS3. There's one in your computer. There's one in everything. And the one in your PS3 keeps track of the PS3's internal clock. And the way it validates your digital games, it knows that you've bought them, is that it has to validate it has to do some time validation, and it has to reconcile the internal time with the time on PlayStation servers. And if those servers ever go down and your CMOS battery dies and you replace it, your internal time won't be able to reach out to the PlayStation servers anymore to authenticate itself, and it will have lost the internal time because you replaced the battery. If it can't perform any of that authentication, that means you can't play your digital games anymore on PlayStation 3. That's a different issue from just the storefront closing. But I started thinking about I just started thinking about all this stuff and thinking it might not be a bad idea to get some PS3 physical games, because it won't affect physical games on the PS3, or it won't affect physical PS1 games on the PS3 physical. So I went and looked. I wanted to go find some PS3 games just to have some, and I only found one, but I picked up Remember Me, which I've never played before, and I don't even remember it being a big deal when it came out, but I think it's supposed to be like one of those sort of hidden gems. I feel like I've seen it a couple times on some YouTube videos and stuff. But for $11, I figured I'd try this one out as well. But I just really, after just sort of getting into that, I probably spent like an hour the other day, I think on Friday, just sort of reading about it and watching some videos and stuff. And I was just thinking, I really want to maybe beef up the old PS3 physical game collection a little bit, because who knows if we ever get to the point where we can't play our digital PS3 and PS1 games anymore. So I went out looking for a few, but I only picked up one. But Remember Me.
What is that? Is that a first-person shooter, over-the-shoulder
it's a
shooter?
third-person. No, it's not a looter shooter. It's like a third-person, story-driven, single-player. You play through a story, third-person shooter. You use memories as like a weapon. I've never played it though.
And it's funny, and it kind of coming off the heels of probably the digital storefront going down. I've watched a couple of watched some retro gaming collector YouTubers, and a couple of them have said that PS3, it seems like, is the next kind of wave of price increase. Like those are the ones that are going to be starting to be more collectible. Not only did you say GameStop's going to start quit carrying, phase out the physical copies of stuff. I mean, PS3 was released in 2006, guys. So it's probably a lot of people. It may, and kind of what bumps this one YouTuber, and I was going to send it to you, Pete, because I know you picked up a really sweet collection not too long ago of PS3 games. And what really bumps those prices is that age nostalgia rolling around, because think about the teenagers in 2006, or kids are Ben's age, or Gavin's age or whatever, playing the PS3 not too long ago, and then it kind of coming full circle around. This would have been like the first new console that they got. But yeah, there's a cool trailer of your game that you
this looks good. It still looks
but
I mean, I would play this.
Yeah, for $11, I thought I'd try it.
James, do you know if you have the game Splatterhouse on the PS3? Because apparently that it was a huge game that went kind of spiked in value, and I didn't know if you had it or not. But anyway,
so. Let me look.
It's okay. But anyway, good pickups, Matt. Did you get anything else other than that?
No, just those. I wanted to get a few more games, but the only problem with the used game store that I go to that I got these from is they are a used game store and they know what they have, and you can't ever really find any good deals.
No.
Like, you might find Spy Hunter for $5. That's not necessarily like a super awesome find. It's just Spy Hunter is not really sought after, $5, but you're never going to find any like, oh my gosh, I found this hidden gem of a game for $3. That's not going to happen. I mean, they know what they have, and they still have some of their PS3 games were still like $28, $30 something dollars, and so they're not super great for finding good deals. But
good.
I would
play that.
encourage. Yeah, I mean, I would encourage, if you guys are, if anybody out there is into PS3 games, maybe try to beef up your physical PS3 collection if you could, just in case. And this whole CMOS thing even spills over into the PS4, where if PlayStation servers ever go down and your CMOS battery dies, you won't be able to even play your physical PS4 games because it has to authenticate the trophy system in order to boot up the disc. So if, and it's a big if, but it's valid, it's a valid concern that you might buy a physical game one day that you can no longer play because of the servers being offline. And, and it's just, we talked about it before, how I just, not being a fanboy, but I just feel like more and more Sony just really doesn't care about their customers. They just want to, they put out great games, Spider-Man, Horizon Zero Dawn, Last of Us, all that kind of stuff. And I will always have a PlayStation to be able to play those. But I really more and more just don't want to support more than I have to a company that doesn't care. Whereas Microsoft is just like, here are 7 different consoles to pick from. Here is a service that you can subscribe to that lets you play hundreds of games.
Yeah.
You can play it on your phone, however you want to play it. We just want you to play video games. That's all we want to do.
And even adding like EA stuff to it, you know what I mean? Like they're just like, here's a bunch of EA games you can play. Like Microsoft just does a really good job with that. They try and make it easy to kind of just experience like their whole little video game collection.
Yeah. We got a giant collection. You can either buy the games digital, you can buy them physical, you can subscribe to the thing and play them that way. You can play them on a Series S, a Series X, an Xbox One X, an Xbox One S. You can't afford one of those? No problem. We have a payment system that you can also pay X amount of dollars per month. They're just making it as easy as possible for people to just play video games. Yep. And I love that. All I want is for people to play games and have fun. Doesn't matter if it's a game I like or not. I just like for people to play games and have fun. And Microsoft is so focused on being able to let people play games. And Sony is super focused on hiding in the corner. I don't want to work with anyone. I don't want to talk with anybody. I have super mega awesome games.
Yeah.
But we want you to only play these and never do anything else ever except play our game. And just...
Now they should have, they had just had such a good chance to kind of like an opportunity to kind of make it to where you can at least play PS3 and PS4 games on the PS5. I thought that because in the beginning there were kind of rumors of that happening. I thought that was just like such a good, and then upscale some stuff, make some stuff look better. But they dropped the ball on that. Yeah, for sure.
Absolutely.
Yeah,
absolutely.
And so anyway, I'm just trying to stock
problems.
Oh my gosh. I played for like 4 hours today on my PS5. Like I said, Batman. And I didn't experience controller drift. So, luckily, I didn't experience it with Spider-Man either. So, thank goodness.
Yeah. All right, guys. Great episode. We're going to wrap it up there. Matt, you want to hit us with the socials?
Yeah, you can find us on pretty much any social media. You can hit us up on OnlyFans at Humskin. Twitter is at Anything New Cast. Instagram is Anything New Podcast. Send us a Gmail at anythingnewpodcast@gmail.com. We've got a couple bit.ly links for YouTube and Discord. We've got a bit.ly/anythingnewYT. Will get you to our YouTube channel. And then for Discord, we have some really cool discussions. Like we said, we're talking Falcon and Winter Soldier over there, even though we're not doing it on the show. We've got a discussion on over there. We had March Madness just wrap up, but we had a thing going on over there. So bit.ly/anythingnewDiscord, Discord, and then put the number 1 on the end of that. And that will get you into our Discord where you can talk about, you can show off your collection. If you got any pickups during the week, that kind of stuff. We've got it all over there. And Facebook also, just search for Anything New Podcast on Facebook and you will find us there as well.
All right, guys. Well, good episode. Look forward to next week's episode and be sure to watch Wander this week if you can, and watch us out on the social medias for any updates or anything that we can. Join our Discord. We're going to talk. We've got a Falcon Winter Soldier thread there, episode discussion thread, a new thread for your cool memes that you might find, just somewhere to laugh at those. And also, we're going to wrap up our March Madness thread hopefully next week and kind of see if anybody won that. I know it was my bracket was a dumpster fire, and we kind of let that go to the wayside. But hopefully, someone listening, Diana probably won it. So we'll see how that goes next week, guys. And always can't wait to see you later, and see you next time.
Bye-bye.
See you guys.